Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Never an Afterthought show. My name, Afolabi Imoukhuede. I remain the author of the book, Never an Afterthought, and the anchor of the show, Never an Afterthought. It's my pleasure to welcome us again to another episode today, wherein we'll be concluding the episode that we started on tech investment, episode 14, on tech investments, concluding today with Iyin Aboyeji. Aboyeji, as you know, is an award-winning youngster and global champion that projects Nigeria to the world through his work in tech. Incidentally, this last week, Flutterwave attained the $1 billion valuation. As such, Iyin, who is one of the co-founders of Flutterwaves, alongside his team and the work that they've done, have been trending since last week. I think, so I want to firstly say congratulations to the Flutterwave team. Congratulations to the founder, the co-founder, to Iyin, and all the other guys at Flutterwave doing excellent stuff. I think my friend Oowonye puts it aptly when he writes about Iyin on his tweet. He says, "Salute to Iyin, who in less than a decade co-founded two startups, Bookneto and Fora, that failed." I think it's important when we talk about the journey of success. Failure and success is all part of the journey. Bookneto and Fora that failed, then hit home runs with Andela, that's valued at $700 million, and now Flutterwave, that is now valued at $1 billion, all before the age of 30. I think that's so profound. We had Iyin on episode 14. So if you haven't watched the early part of this series, you want to go watch it, episode 14. And yeah, he said it. He was born 1991, so he's going to be 30 this year. So all that he's done is achieved before the age of 30. But you can also see that there have been failures, and now there are also successes. That's a real story about life. You know, success is a journey. Life is a journey. You would have your downfalls, and you also have your uprisings. So again, kudos to the Flutterwave team. Kudos to Iyin. Thanks for always making us proud. So today we'll be concluding the series we started with him on tech investment. But just before I do that, let me take some of your feedbacks, as I always do. Last week we did conclude our series on side hustle with Bodalare, and so let me thank him. Let me also thank Graffiti, our institutional partner that hosted that show in the city of Osogbo. I want to say thank you to you, but we got some feedbacks that I want to address. One is from Hilary Ginika from UK, and it says, "How do you undertake the marketing aspect of a cleaning business, especially as trust is essential in that line of business?" Well, I think I would answer this way. Firstly, thanks, Hilary, for that question and feedback. I think first, trust is essential for any business. In every line of business, you need trust. So not just for the cleaning business, but I think I would answer in two ways. One, build your controls using digital marketing. If you follow the A part of our side hustle. Two, we spoke about digital marketing as an important aspect of marketing. So using digital marketing tools and also electronic invoicing and payments. So you want to discourage your clients from very early on from making cash payments, because what you're trying to say is that you would obviously engage people to go do the work, and you don't want a situation where they are under quoting what they earned, or maybe not even declaring anything at all. So you just discourage your clients early on from cash payments and ensure that they book through an online channel or social media tool, or somewhere online anyway that you can control, you can oversight, and they also make payment using electronic forms. The other thing is, I shared earlier on, both in my book and also in the early part of this show, how I find a credible team. And I want to remind us of the 3 C's, which is character. I can't understate the role of character. Character, then followed by competence, and then capacity. So I'm sure you can also use that in building your team for this small business or side hustle. Another comment came from Titilope Afolabi. He says, "This is lovely. This show needs public recognition." Thank you, Titilope. Well, you are part of our public recognition, so I've always encouraged us that we should please subscribe, we should like, and we should share widely across our network. So yes, you are part of the public recognition, and just like we also saw with graffiti, we've thrown it open as well for anyone who may want to endorse or sponsor or host. Just send us an email, podcast@neveranafterthought.com, and we can get cracking. The book team or the production team will reach you, and we can get cracking on that. You don't have to be, I said earlier that graffiti came through Instagram, so any of our channels, we can make it happen. Another comment came from, I think also a question, Uzochukwu Alutu, who says, "What if you start your side hustle and you are not gaining sufficient patronage, yet you don't have time to intensify marketing?" If you start your side hustle, you're not gaining sufficient patronage, and yet you don't have time to intensify your marketing. Well, let me start by saying, again, if you watch the A part of Side Hustle 2, which was episode 15, we talked about marketing using digital tools. In fact, I remember talking about using your WhatsApp status to market widely across your own closed networks. So yes, you may not have time to do the other extensive time-consuming marketing, but you can at least start by marketing with your own tool, your own Facebook, your own LinkedIn, your own WhatsApp, your own Twitter, things like that. So start with that, and that won't take, even if it's 10 minutes out of your sleep time, if you are that busy from the moment you wake up till you go to bed, if it's 10 minutes out of your sleep time on your bed, you can do everything that I'm saying. Then we also said in that episode that you can use yourself as a model. So if you were in a fashion business or a bedsheet production, whatever kind of production, we said you can use yourself and use your family, friends and family as a model, and of course, build word of mouth referral marketing, which I still find to be the strongest anyway. So those are basics if you really want to take your side hustle seriously. Now, let's understand that side hustle, because we say side hustle is not an excuse for mediocrity. Like Otumba Gaddafi said, that even shit business is serious business. So if you're going to start any hustle at all, then you want to make sure that you're ready to dedicate some aspect of your free time to that hustle, so that you are not engaging in any form of mediocrity or the other. Another feedback is on snail farming. So we did share quite a lot. We started first with Badalanri's article on 21 side hustles. We did a poll. It came down to 12 side hustles, which we shared across episode 15 and 16. But what is interesting is that snail farming has become quite significant. A lot of people, a lot of interest. I've gotten a lot of interest. So I started a Twitter thread on that. So if you're all in that business or you're interested in that business, Badalanri, I started a Twitter thread with Badalanri, and you can all engage with him and engage with yourselves through continuous learning and referrals around that business. Let's remember that I call Larry Badalanri because that is Twitter handle. So that way you can't forget. It's at Boda, BODA_Larry. So just look for that tweet and engage around it. Okay, so those were comments from last week's episode. Now on tech investing, which we're continuing today to wrap it up. When we started in episode 14, there was a comment, and it came from my UK mom, Mrs. Elizabeth Wells, and she said, "I've enjoyed another interesting and informative session. Well done to the moderator on his choice of topics. There's still a lot of work to be done in the country Nigeria, especially in the area of establishment of meaningful institutions to meet the demands of the citizens." Mommy, thank you. She's an octogenarian, that still finds time studiously to attend to our show and to not only watch it but also digest it to be able to give feedbacks. Now, and that's true. When I paused Iyin at the last episode, which we're continuing today, we're talking about, Iyin was telling us about how he has used tech to follow through on certain areas wherein we're very deficient as a country. Education being one of them, employability being another, payment solutions, as you saw with Flutterwave, being another, and many other areas which he will now be sharing in today's concluding episode. So yes, as I yield the floor to the production team, so let's not forget our hashtag, which is the hashtag Never an Afterthought, by which we join and continue these conversations across all our social media channels, Twitter, which is at NAA_book, Facebook and Instagram at NA Afterthought. I've shared earlier that I'd like to read from you, so always send me a note. You can drop me a note, podcast at neveranafterthought.com. And last but not the least, you can leave your comments on the comment section of the channel or the platform wherein you are listening or watching me. So until I come your way again, I'm sure, let me yield the floor now to the production team for this concluding episode of Tech Investment with Iyin Aboyeji. Thank you very much. We're going to be discussing today, which is tech investment, technology investment, or investment in technology.
So like, okay, somebody can sit down at a computer, my age, code something up, and the thing is worth billions. You know, that was a huge mindset shift for me.
Now, your degree was law, right?
Yeah, I studied law.
So how did you pivot from law to this?
The day I saw this tech thing, it didn't matter that I was an immigrant. I could do it. Anybody could do it. You could be in Lagos and do it. You could be in London and do it.
It didn't even matter that you
could be in Abuja
code.
and do it. It didn't matter you couldn't code. You find people who can code. And then there were other factors. So obviously, one is I was very passionate about education problems because of the experience I had in Canada. And also very passionate about employability problems. And it just so happened that with Andela, education, employability, tech, all tied in together. And I had experience in all those three.
So much investment, we're coming in. This is billions of dollars, right? US dollars. So, but how come, with the size of our economy and the size of Nigeria and Africa, how come we don't have any Nigerian VC amongst the VC firms, amongst these investors? I doubt if we'll finish our conversation today, but I'm sure we'll
keep the conversation going.
Oh yeah, because from the comments that I'm seeing right now, reading from our audience, it looks like it's going to be around 2 at some point. Greetings, guys. Well, I'm sure you've been having a fun time with Iyin, but if you're just joining us, you're welcome to another exciting episode of the Never an Afterthought show. Today we've been discussing tech investment, and I've had no other person but Iyin Aboyeji to discuss this with me in the last 30 minutes we've been on this. So we're getting ready to wrap up now. Don't forget our hashtag, the Never an Afterthought, and you can use this to join and continue this conversation across all our social media channels. Twitter at NAA_book. Facebook and Instagram at NA Afterthought. You can always drop me a note by email, which is podcast@neveranafterthought.com. And yes, I can see your comments already, but you can keep them coming using the comment section on the platform wherein you are listening or watching me. So we've been discussing tech investment in the last half hour with Iyin Aboyeji here with me, and he's still here with me, and we're just going to continue our conversation. It's been an interesting time, Iyin. I doubt if we'll finish our conversation today, but I'm sure we'll
keep the conversation going.
Oh yeah, because from the comments that I'm seeing right now, reading from our audience, it looks like it's going to be around 2 at some point. But just before the break, we were talking about, from everything you were telling me about the ranking of investment, and you said just 8 years ago, it wasn't this.
No,
now Nigeria is leading the pack,
exactly.
right? But that was not the case, and the whole concept of tech it's a new phenomenon for us in Nigeria. And I was saying to you that a few years ago, I think it must have been 2 or 3 years ago, that Kola delivered this TED Talk he gave, and it says, who will own our unicorn? And using a lot of our startups, the great startup ideas that are emerging out of Nigeria, Flutterwave, you've spoken about Flutterwave, Andela, and all the others, to say, who are they really going to be the owners? Can we really say they're Nigerian businesses when really it's mostly foreign investors that are investing in these businesses? So that's the point I wanted to get to when you started to explain the reason
structural
why
issues.
Why we're not having Nigerian-owned VC firms making these investments. And
So like I said, right, I was trying to explain that, first of all, this year is the first year in over 30 years you're having banks being allowed to invest in VC, and every other country in the world, that's not the case, right? Wow. Other countries, all the big VC firms you see, they get their money from banks and pension funds. In Nigeria, VCs get their money from individuals, typically foreign individuals, and foreign DFIs.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? So there's the average Nigerian is not benefiting from any of this startup growth. Then when you think about, okay, what are the other structural barriers, right? You look at the...
so now that you said that the Finance Act now allows banks...
Investment and Securities Act.
How did it happen? Did it just...
It
was a lot of work?
Oh, yeah, it was a lot of work. I spent a lot of time in Abuja. A lot of time with Senator Oba, amazing human being.
Was
committee chair for finance. Yeah. So he saw that was ridiculous. Why would we not be able to invest in our own startups, as Nigerians? It makes no sense. Why would we leave all of that opportunity to foreign investors to do? So, we had the conversation, made the necessary amendments, had to work very hard to drag a lot of people along, especially because of everything going on, around the BOFIA. As you know, it's very, very hotly contested bill. But it made it happen. Banks are now allowed to put up to 10% of their assets under management into venture capital.
So we won that one.
Now there's pensions. We're not even started. I'll be honest with you, we're not even started. There's some law that allows pensions to put 5% of their assets in something that could include venture capital, but it's still super early. The real reason why the work that remains to be done, two pieces of work in my opinion, right? The first one is the Investment and Securities Act. So the biggest challenge that Nigerian venture capital has is, if you went to the SEC and said you wanted to start a fund, the SEC mandates that you pay to them 0.25% of the value of your fund every year. Now, this is the problem with that. Tech companies grow so quickly that the value, unrealized value particularly, can shoot up to the point where it's not sustainable. Which is why you're just asked to pay fees. They don't want to ask you to pay a percentage of the value of your assets under management. And in fact, most countries and most managers have moved away from percentage-based fees, because I think they're assuming that you get 2% of your assets under management. Meanwhile, you only get 2% of deployed capital or 2% of capital committed. So these are very technical things. So as you could tell that whoever was making these laws might not have been as familiar with venture capital as an asset class, which is understandable. It's very new. So they may have made some issues with the laws. But once these laws are amended, then it becomes more viable. The second issue is, the reality is, Nigeria is a country that, for very good reason, has fixed exchange controls and capital controls. But the downside of that is that if you're an investor, global investor, or even a local investor, you do want to understand upfront how you're going to get your money out.
You must consider exit before you get it.
So what has to happen, what other countries have done very well is they've created these things called, like in Dubai, they have something called the Dubai International Finance Center. You understand what I'm saying? So what happens, Rwanda is now starting one called the Rwanda International Finance Center, or Kigali International Finance Center. So these are like offshore zones where you can you have your banking, you have your new types of securities laws and all that. You can manage those assets offshore, and the government has no right to stop you from taking out your capital. Okay. But obviously there are approaches, if you're incorporated as like an FZ within that zone and you're Nigerian, when the money gets to you, you still have to pay your tax. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But while it's in that zone, it's not subject to taxes. It's not subject to...
Just like you have free trade zones. And
everywhere, free trade zones and everywhere. So that's the model that I think that once you can tick those two other boxes, you will see the capital show up.
So Dubai has done it. I mean,
Dubai is doing it. Kigali is doing it.
We tend to mirror what Dubai does, and if Dubai has done it, if Kigali has done it, perhaps you need to drive the ecosystem again in that direction.
We're pushing. We're pushing.
So we can fairly say that with the one for the banks down, and if we work on the others, perhaps in the next 10 years we'll begin to see.
Yeah, it might take less time. Okay. It might take less time. I hope it won't take 10 years.
Well, I'm just
because hopefully.
Yeah, in the next, so let's say within this decade.
Yeah, within this decade. Fair enough. Let's see.
Because I think it's really important, right? Because if we say now, Florida Wave, and the others, as much as we say they are Nigerian startups, right? Because the founders are
Nigerians.
Who really owns them?
I mean, they're owned by Americans. I'll be very honest.
Look at Bizarre. Look at the accident just happened. Stripes, So that's the question at the end of the day, really. That brings me now to your role when I was introducing you as the GP of Future Africa. There's something that caught everyone's attention: the community for mission-driven innovators. What does that mean?
So, to fully answer that question, it's helpful to kind of give you some context about what we call ourselves the Fund for Africa's Future in actual fact, but then the more colloquial name is Future Africa.
So it's Fund for Africa's Future.
I
like that. I think that's clear.
So
Fund for Africa's Future. So eventually, if we have Fund for Africa's Future with Africans, with any an African,
you understand what I'm saying?
You can own a unicorn.
That's the idea, right? That's
Fund for Africa's Future. I'm going to correct that, but go ahead.
but Future Africa is kind of like more the colloquial name.
That's right.
But so the big idea with us is, we quickly realize three really important things that are happening in the ecosystem at the same time. The first thing, the kind of companies that we need to be building, and the companies that have made us successful as investors and as operators in the market are the companies that take very frank looks at our challenges and then turns those challenges into opportunities.
Good.
So immigration happened, an indication of youth unemployment. We turned the youth unemployment into talent supply for the rest of the world with Andela, right?
So you were talking about, I remember you started telling us the story of how the opportunity, immigration led to an opportunity for meeting with Jeremy and Andela. So that's where the Andela vision
came from, right? Because it's like if 65,000 people are showing up in a stadium for a job, I'm paying 1,000 naira for it. You know what I mean? And, that means out of those 65, you would have at least 3,000 that can learn something that could give you, that could be paying in the US or somewhere else, like $60,000 a year.
So that's where the concept of talent pool,
that's where the talent pool.
Really
do you understand? So that's where it came from. Okay. So you look at the challenge and then you turn that challenge to an opportunity, right? You look at Florida Wave, right? Florida Wave, again, another business that was built around a challenge, which was lots of African developers in particular, because that's where we started. And the African businesses were cut off from the global markets. They couldn't accept dollar payments. They couldn't make payments globally. So we turned that challenge into an opportunity to build this platform that basically enables digital Africans to be part of the global economy, to participate in the global economy. So again, it's about all of this, right? Now, the model has not changed. There are other problems to solve: logistics, education, healthcare. So what are the biggest challenges we have? Who's turning those challenges into opportunities? How can we work with those guys? That's our core. Now, what we realized very quickly, second thing is, These guys need three things to survive. The first is capital. Why do I say the first is capital? At the end of the day, everybody gives you good advice.
Well, that was what you said.
Yeah.
You told Jeremy, you said, you know what, everything else I can do, but if you can bring the money. So, yeah.
And you look at our society today, less than 5%, despite all this big money you're hearing, less than 5% of that money is going to seed stage companies.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So there's a lot of talk about entrepreneurship, but no one's bringing the money.
Yeah.
So lots of great, especially for that seed capital. Once you start there, you could lose it. Yeah. So we had to now build out a new capital stack that could support seed stage investments. So we go to people and say, hey, look, you have $5,000. Don't worry. Give it to me. $5,000 will not kill you. You understand what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you can spend more. That's like about 2.5 million naira. Give me 2.5 million naira. I'll join it with other people's 2.5 million naira. We'll take a bet on all these amazing companies that are trying to. Now, if one of them becomes an Andela or a Flutter Wave, you can get back 2,000 times your money. If you invested $50,000 in Flutter Wave, for example, now your value is hovering around $5 million. Wow. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's a return that, so even if you lost the whole $50,000, you understand what I'm saying, in all the other stuff.
All the others,
that one would pay for everybody else. So that was the first kind of core offering. The second thing though is they need coaching. Advice. Even though it's not necessarily as important as capital, because it's very, very important because you need to solve
to
attract capital. Because you need to be able to leverage the capital you have. It's not a lot. You need to leverage it in the right way. So I'll give you a practical example from my experience. When we're starting Flutterwave, some people will tell you, go and get a license from the central bank. We were going to spend 100 million naira just for the license. Another 50 million naira, the lawyers, the staff, showing we have servers, this one, that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that would have been 150 million naira, and we don't have a single client. Who will give you 150 million naira just throw away? Just to risk. You don't even know what's going to happen. So we said, okay, look, that's what people would do, but we got to be very sharp. We don't have 150 million. Let's go and talk to a bank that would allow us build software while they would be the license holder.
I get you.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So we weren't paying anything. We're just building our software. And then they were the license holder. Obviously, we're giving them a chunk of our revenue. But given it was money we didn't even have to spend, we didn't mind. And they had already invested in that licensing infrastructure anyway. So we went with them, and that changed the trajectory of our business. Even made it possible for us to get an Uber on board, because Uber wasn't willing to deal with a startup, but they would deal with a bank. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? That's the kind of coaching you won't typically get. If you went to an accountant or you went to some guy who doesn't understand tech, they won't understand the power of what you're building is tech, not the license. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? And now, that made the company grow now into such a big company. And it can afford its own license.
Exactly.
But if it did not start that way, they wouldn't be where they are. Exactly. So that's the coaching element. But the most important thing is other people on the journey with you.
So is the
advisors, people that support. There were times I called you presidency. Intervene. You understand what I'm saying? So that community, you also have to build around the business for it to be. It takes a village for a company to be successful. So what we try to bring to the table, especially now, time back in the capital, it's people like you that are bringing the 5,000 to risk on these companies. It's people like you that are providing the advice. And it's people like you that would say, please, I beg, this is my younger brother. Help them. So that's our approach. That's our answer to who will own the unicorns. Because it's not just about money. You can go, government can go and decide, okay, we are 120 billion, Yojade. We'll give it to all these people. But you will find that even that is not enough. It will be politically influenced. Money will go missing. These things will happen. Yeah. But if you build it with the community and people can see where their money is going, you don't even need government's money. People will bring out money from their pocket by themselves and say,
even be using government's money?
I don't think we should. Many people have different opinions on this. But I personally am not of the opinion that, because think about it, tech is new and risky. It's like your father, you understand what I'm saying, taking his pension money and saying, okay, I'm going to go and invest it in Bet Niger. Because it's risky. You can lose all your money. Now, obviously, with experience and all that, we're beginning to build systems that make it possible for you to be more successful. But at the same time, it's still very early and risky. So let private capital go and do the job. Then, when it's established, public capital can come in and support the later stage ones.
I even think that government should probably just focus again on
infrastructure. Yeah, that's even better. Subsea cable, power.
Exactly.
Make the laws work. It doesn't cost you anything. Honestly, if you focus on that, the private capital will pour in.
Right policy and things like that. So I completely agree. I completely agree with that. And let's, because my guys are beginning to signal at us now. But before we go, two things I want to ask. Let me ask you together. One is, yes, the report, the Africa report, and you've also mentioned it. FinTech was that's like the largest attraction, right? Where we also know that problems exist in that area. Just like you showed us with further wave, with Paystack and all that. But beyond FinTech, we have problems in education.
A lot of problems.
Healthcare. So are you looking at, are your community of innovators, are they looking at those sectors? I was actually particularly shocked that in that report, they actually referenced Nairobi to be the leader in agri-tech sphere. I thought we would be doing a lot in that space as well because of our drive, the national
policy
drive
trust.
Towards,
but you see, okay, so let me start with the question around other areas. Now, first of all, I'll tell you, our biggest investment has been in agri-tech.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, we invested $280,000 in agri-tech last year.
Okay.
And one company. But you know what? It wasn't what they would tell you. It wasn't, we weren't investing in a farm. What we invested in was in a company called Relief. They buy all palm nuts from smallholder farmers, process it, and take it to all palm refineries to turn them into glycerin. Beautiful business, great economics, trading, conversion, all that stuff. But again, you had to understand. You understand what I'm trying to say? The business. And you have to understand what technology can do for the business. What the Kenyans have gotten right is they've built out very impressive satellite technology that can measure plants, that can give you indications of likelihood of yield and all that kind of stuff. They've built a lot of agri-tech around those things. Insurance, you have companies like Pula, these are big issues. Those are big issues, right? So we are still at the stage where we're just gathering farmers and dispersing money. So we haven't really advanced to the point where we are really, really tackling the real issues in the agriculture space, which is why you're not seeing the same level of interest in agriculture from investors. But I like I said, I believe in these other problems. I'm not really an app investor. So I go and invest there.
Real value.
Health and education, I would say post-corona, those have become red hot button investors. Because our biggest problems are coming from there. So we've invested. We're looking in the education world. I'll be honest and tell you that it's been tough because you see a lot of the education paradigm was built around this concept of school. So if something was built around the concept of school and there's no more school, how do you make it work? Now we're trying remote, but remote is still very early. And you really want a model that works. And we're realizing remote is not enough. You might have to combine remote with in-class Or what does class look like in this world? So it's just, there's a lot of things to debate. Look at healthcare. We did very well with healthcare last year. We were one of the earliest investors in a company called 54G. Made about 20 times our investment on that investment, where when they were still focused on molecular biology and DNA diagnosis. Now that expertise, it turns out, is extremely important for COVID testing.
Oh, wow.
So these guys are basically one of the few companies that are able to do COVID tests for people coming into the country and collect samples, collect this, collect that, and build like proper COVID testing infrastructure. So these are things that we're able to do. Also invested in another company called Medical Diagnostics as a Service. So a lot of tier 2, tier 3 cities where poor rap people live, lower middle class, they don't have diagnostic services. They have to come all the way to Lagos to test for cancer, to test for this. So that doesn't really make sense because then that's an extra cost. In COVID, it's even unsafe. They may die on their way here. So we started to build small diagnostic centers in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, Ogbomoso, Oshogbo, Ilorin, Shagamu, so that people can have access to those services. Then we've done some experimental stuff. We invested last year in a company called Tambua Health out of Kenya, actually. And what these guys basically do is that they have a software called T-Sense that makes it possible to do something called sonic imaging. It's kind of the same technology that you use for your ultrasound. But how do you make that technology, instead of having a big screen and buying machines that cost $300,000, $400,000, make it just your phone and a $120 device. You understand what I'm saying? Your phone or your tablet and $120 device. So what used to be a $400,000 exchange is now $1,200, which makes it easier for hospitals to use it.
So, I like the fact that you're actually discussing real life sectors.
It's not an app.
Issues and investing in sectors that really affect us, affect real people. But I think my final question is going to be, and I'm asking this now directly for our viewers,
for the audience.
Viewers. Now, there was something we said earlier in the show around the fact that a lot of this foreign money, after you have proven your most valuable product, what you guys call MVP,
yes,
most valuable product, but the real
early
problem
stage
is the early stage. So are you able to, so some of these investors you've made, are you able to get capital to address some of this early stage?
So we aim to be your
the last
first.
point, so that I don't have to pause you. The last point then is how can viewers, people who are interested, participate?
Absolutely.
Can they reach your firm, your website, or whatever, and things like that?
Absolutely. So I think for your first question, I think the way we think about it, we want to be your partner as early as possible. Right? As early as possible. Now, what we care about is, are you leveraging technology to turn a big challenge the continent has, maybe Nigeria has, into a global business opportunity? And sometimes people come to us with a problem and a solution, and it's not there yet, and we work with them to refine it. So think about us as the earliest stage partner that you want to work with. And, typically without even asking too many questions, we can write you a check of $25,000 to $50,000 just to get started. You understand what I'm trying to say? Sometimes we can just write you, send you $1 million, just, okay, what can you do with this? You understand what I'm saying? So that's kind of our approach. So that's one. Two, when for the second question you asked, how do people reach out to us? Now, there are two ways people work with us. The first way is as investors. A lot of people want to be invested in the next unicorns extremely early.
I want to.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell I'm going to reach
you got to. Well, you don't need to reach out. I'm here.
I know.
So I'll make sure we talk before I.
Exactly.
But we have products for you to invest in. If you're early stage, you don't. You're risk averse. You don't really want to deal with. The easiest way to manage a portfolio is for you to just invest in as many things as possible. That's reality. everything. You understand what I'm saying? So, what we can do for you is every quarter we have a fund. We set up a fund every quarter. You can invest in that fund every quarter, as little as $5,000. But we continue to look at how we can review that even further downward. But the idea is just to give people broad exposure. Mm-hmm. So if one blows, you see some money as an investor. So that's one. The second product we have is kind of for more sophisticated investors, which is, I want to see the company, I want to understand what they do, all that stuff. So that's on the investor side. Mm. On the innovator side or startup side, what we do is we want to see your ideas extremely early. Mm. You understand what I'm saying? We want to see your ideas very, very early. See how it's working, understand what it does, all that stuff, and then can then work with you to make it work.
So serious innovators, how do they reach you?
So if you're on our website, we're all over social media. But beyond that, very simple. You can go on our website, future.africa/collective. That's the website.
So it's future.africa.
Yeah,
it's going to be on the screen.
It's going to be on the screen. /collective. So you can see. You can go there, visit the website, fill out the form if you're an investor, and apply to join. If you are an innovator, you can just, tell us. Yeah, we have a form that makes it even easy for you to put things together. So just send us an email. We'll add you to our pipeline and start to review what you're doing. Another way is if you know somebody we've funded, because I'll be very honest with you, the cold approach as an innovator works. But what works even better is if you know somebody we've backed before, and if that person, can recommend you. Yeah, so that's actually the better way, because then you kind of go to the top. So if and we like to advise people, if you're looking to raise money, what we advise you to do is you need a track record. Some people have it, so they will be on cognizance. Like we say in the police, we see you, we know, this one. So, but if you're a young person and you have an idea and you're incubating, my advice is usually build a network with founders who have been funded before. It's the cheapest, easiest hack for getting funded. Just either choose to work at their companies. I don't know a single person who's come to me from, say, Andela or Flutterwave where he sent me an idea, and if I wasn't already backing a company that was doing the same thing, or if maybe I don't really believe in this concept, I would at least take a look at it.
So, this is the most time can allow us.
Yes.
Right? But clearly you are going to come back, because the comments I'm seeing, they're going to want to have you back. But I just need to let our audience know that it was like 3 months before I could get into BS.
No worry, we'll make time.
But I'm sure we'll make time. But I just want to look into the camera and give some final words to viewers. What would your final words?
Well, I think for me, really what it is we are depending on our young people to build the future of our continent, to build the future of our nation. And the way they will be able to do that is by taking our biggest challenges and turning them into global business opportunities. And that's the challenge of our generation, is that, can we take the lemons, that we've been handed and turn these lemons to lemonades, right? Because if we can do that, then we have a future for our continent, and we can make sure that we go back to a time where, people like my father and my mother were able to rise through the ranks in a society that respected merit and their expertise and their drive and their willingness to work hard and so on and so forth. We can regain that society back. But if we continue to just lament, nothing changes. We'll be back here again.
Yep. Thanks so much, Iyin. Thank you
so
much. Thank you. It's been an exciting conversation. And honestly, time would always cheat us, as we always say. Well, guys, that's so much we can take. I've seen your comments. Sorry we couldn't address some of it specifically, but you know me. I would read them. I would get across to you. Some we will take it as we'll take some as engagement on Twitter. Iyin is on Twitter. So we would lead some as Twitter engagement, and of course, you all saying you need him back, but yes, we'll see how we can get him back as well to join us. I think he said it all. My closing comments really, what stuck with me, a few things he said. Thinking outside of the limitations of your environment. This just chronicles the same thing we've been talking about. What do you see? Difficulty in every opportunity, or opportunity in every difficulty. Clearly, Iyin sees opportunities in every difficulty, and that's what he's talking about. Turning the lemons that you're being given, or you feel your environment is giving you, into lemonades. And then, of course, he also spoke about the importance of it takes a village to win in business, especially if you're looking at global business. And so the importance of capital, as we all talk about, the importance of coaching and the importance of community. So those are key points. And again, you also see that he also started small and is growing big. He started from hustle, and in a few weeks as well, we're also going to have another episode I'm looking forward to, which is the intergenerational conversation. The intergenerational conversation, very, very important. So those are exciting episodes that are coming up, and I just want you to stay tuned with us. How do you stay tuned? Subscribe. There's that red button there, and the producers are showing you right now as I speak. Just click on that red button. Next to it, there's the alarm bell. You could also click on that so that each time you don't have to miss an episode, right? So subscribe if you haven't, and if you have, please share across all your networks. You should also like, and as much as possible, invite your friends and family to join you on this show. We are focused on you winning, and winning big. And so till I come your way again next week, same time, same channel. The channel is Never an Afterthought channel. Our hashtag is the hashtag Never an Afterthought. Our social media is Twitter at NAA_book, Facebook and Instagram at NA Afterthought, email podcast at neveranafterthought.com. And last but not the least, I'm seeing your comments. I'll read them, I'll deal with it, but just keep your comments coming. Till then, stay safe so you can stay well, and above all, keep winning. God bless you.